After 3 days of rainy weather, we are finally back in the mountains. This year there have been a lot of rainy days during the rut, and the forecast for the next couple of weeks is also looking bad. This time we have a 1-day window to film the rut. But sometimes you can get more in a single day than in a whole year, so we march forward with hope. We're back in the Valley of the Stags. As usual, I'm with my cousin Adrian, who's also a big nature lover. Last time we split up at some point to check different places, but this time we're going together. Before us we have the same mountainside that's full of deer. While hinds are grazing and stags are roaring, a sparrowhawk is rising above the valley. Although we hear their roars, for the moment we don't see any dominant stags, just some hinds and a young stag. There he is, finally out of the thicket. It's a 5x5 that we haven't seen before. Judging by the area he's in, I presume this is the stag that scared away the 4x4 with white markings on his antler from last time. Interesting. He follows his hinds into the young spruce forest. During the rut, stags are easier to approach because they are more focused on the females. But the hinds are very cautious even now. There's a stag that's roaring almost continuously somewhere in front of us, but we haven't spotted him yet. After a long time looking through our binoculars, we finally see him. It's actually the 7x6 stag with face paralysis. What a surprise. He has moved with his hinds on the opposite mountainside and is at a fair distance from us. Still as noisy as ever. Meanwhile, the other stag seems to be getting fired up for some reason. There might be another stag close by. It's midday and the strong sun is pushing the deer into the thickets, so we decide to check another red deer hotspot that we know. After a couple of hours, we get closer to the site and start hearing roars coming from there. As expected, there is a lot of activity in this area. We arrive at the location and it doesn't take long until we spot him. A dominant stag from this area that we know from last year. He's still around and has a hind. But he's not having an easy time at all. Several stags are roaring and pressing him, inching in on his hind from the thicket downhill. From nowhere, a stag starts roaring from his left, then another one from uphill. The dominant stag is literally surrounded and is almost overwhelmed by the competition. He can't have a minute's rest. Stags, big and small, can be heard roaring, especially from the patch of young forest. Our stag keeps roaring, but seemingly with no effect. A couple of stags got really close and have crossed the line, so he has to step in. He descends resolutely towards the thicket. He goes in. We hear intimidating roars for a couple of minutes, then twigs breaking, and through a small gap, we see a younger stag running away desperately. The action developed so quickly that I didn't have time to react. Fortunately, he returns and comes in the open for a short time. Enough for me to take a short footage of him. Now that our stag has shown who the boss is, he returns to his hind. But after a short time he descends again. There are a few daring stags that still need to be put in their place. We can't see what's happening in the thicket, but judging by the roars heard, the situation is pretty tense. After several minutes, the dominant stag returns, but the other stags in the valley haven't calmed down too much. During the rut, stags that have a harem or at least a mature hind and successfully defend them from other stags are called dominant stags. Around them, there are usually several stags without hinds, called satellite stags. They follow the harem from a distance, waiting for opportunities to mate or to challenge the dominant stag if they consider themselves strong enough. Studies show that dominant stags in densely deer-populated areas wear out more quickly and are more likely to eventually lose their supremacy due to accumulated fatigue. During the rut, stags eat close to nothing and are instead focused on finding hinds, keeping them together, displaying their strength and dominance, roaring and chasing away other stags. All of these take their toll on them. The competition is fierce and the rival stags are day and night relentless in their pursuit of the hinds, waiting for a sign of weakness from the dominant stags so they can't afford slacking around for a second. At the end of the rut, stags are exhausted. Dominant stags can lose up to a third of their weight, and this is really bad news when you have wolves lurking around. Also, losing a lot of weight before winter decreases their chance of survival, especially if the winter is harsh. The stakes are high for the stags. I notice movement in a gap. It's a hind and she's being followed. Another big stag. It seems that at least one of the several stags roaring from the thicket was actually a dominant bull. No wonder there was so much roaring. He's a nice and strong 7x6 stag. They seem to be leaving the thicket for the older forest. When two dominant stags get close to each other, it always gets noisy. This happens when different harems intersect or meet one another while searching for pastures or water. Now that one of the main protagonists has left the stage, the atmosphere lightens up a lot. Finally, some relaxing moments for our dominant stag. He follows his hind into the forest, so we switch our attention downhill, where there still seems to be some action. We see a single hind further away into the valley, then another one much closer coming out from the thicket. This one does something quite remarkable. She picks up and eats a fly agaric, a highly poisonous mushroom. Very interesting. Another hind appears, If there are hinds, there has to be stags nearby too. Surely enough, another stag appears from within the thicket. A mature 5x5. He's trying to keep his hind close, but he's restless. There's something bothering him. It's silent for a moment, and then the sound of clashing antlers. He has lost the fight, and the victor emerges from behind the spruce wall. But the loser hasn't given up. He carefully observes the bigger stag and takes advantage of his lack of concentration to once again get close to the hind. He found the hind, but is constantly watching out for the big stag. This act of defiance sure makes the dominant bull angry. He runs furiously towards the smaller stag, and after a minute or two he returns from the forest with his hind. But more unwanted guests are coming. This time it's a smaller stag, but he's chased away immediately. Until now I thought the stag had only one hind. But we can see that there's another hind close by, and the bull picks her up. No wonder his attention was divided earlier. He worked hard to gather the two hinds, but he can't rest yet. The young stag is back, sneaking around the hinds. It looks like he's playing hide and seek with the big stag. It's hard to supervise his harem in this maze of young spruces, so the stag tries to stick close to his hinds. It's not easy for the big guy. But this stag sure looks strong and fit, and his roar is very intimidating. The younger stag is back. Seems like he doesn't value his life. The dominant bull has had enough, and this time he chases him away for good. After the prolonged chase, the big stag is nowhere to be seen, but the young stag is back. However, he did learn his lesson. He moves away to try his luck elsewhere. Things have calmed down a lot, and we ponder if we should remain here or return to the car and check a few places along the way. We eventually decide to stay and try to get closer to the dominant stag that we know from last year. We plan to take a few shots from a closer distance and after start our descent. This would turn out to be one of our best choices yet.